Ready to go.
Great. So it's a little after 3, and we'll call the meeting to order. So the meeting is formally beginning right now. I know that Mike Cotlinato hasn't arrived yet, and he may arrive by phone. But I thank everybody else for attending, either in live stream or on the phone. First thing I'd like to do would be to introduce a new member. We have a voting member from the Student Association. It's Haley Hershenson. Haley, how are you? Now, are you the president of the association?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, I was just recently elected the president of the Student Association.
And it says that you are majoring in early childhood and childhood education. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And I have a concentration in English, and I also have a minor in deaf studies.
And why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you're enjoying yourself here at New Paltz?
Sure. So I'm originally from Manhattan, New York City, but I made the decision to come back to New Paltz because I love the town a lot and campus life. So I'm living in the town of New Paltz in a house off campus with some close friends. I am a senior, so I'm in my 4th year at New Paltz. And yeah, I've been really involved, various positions. I've been a part of Student Association since I was a sophomore. So I was part of our Student Senate, and then I was the VP of Academic Affairs, working closely with Interim Provost Lyman. And then I'm excited now to take a bigger step and to lead the team. And I'm excited to be here, so thank you.
Great, so welcome. And are you going to do student teaching this year?
I'm going to be doing student teaching next fall, so I have a little bit of time.
Great. And so you're going to be our liaison, but you're a full voting member, as you know, and you have a constituency. And so we're glad to have you. I would also like to welcome the representative of the faculty. We have a new faculty representative, Rennie Scott Childress, and he's a very familiar face to me and to probably some other people. And Rennie participated in the renaming of the buildings, did a very in-depth work of research, as well as I represented the faculty very well in that regard. But Rennie, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I teach in the history department. I'm originally from North Carolina. I went to school in New York City, that faraway place, strange place called Manhattan. I got my PhD at the University of Maryland in the early 2000s, and I've been at New Paltz since 2005.
And I know you're a resident of the city of Kingston, the county seat of Ulster County, and are involved there. And I'm sure the skills that you've learned in being involved in the city will serve you well here at the council. Thank you.
I have all kinds of experience in skullduggery now.
I wouldn't go that far, but you know how to be a diplomat as well. Get it? Okay, so welcome one and all. Now, it is the first meeting, and maybe we could go around the horn, and I see faces, and I see Dave Eaton, and I know Dave is on his last lap, maybe. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Just introduce yourself, Dave. Hey, Mike, you there?
There we go. I've been at New Paltz since 1981, and I've been the director of residence life, the dean of students, vice president, interim vice president, and then I moved over and started in 1995. Began to build the enrollment management division. And I was supposed to retire on June 30th. The change of external events caused the president to ask if I would stay on until the end of the year. And I agreed. You know, but I really appreciate having the final semester of my career being so vivid as it is.
Well, thank you for staying, and thank you for all the tremendous work you've done over the years. But here we go again. So welcome. Years kicked off, and a lot of the people are here. And I don't mean to fire. So thanks. And we know how about Erica? Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Erica Marks, Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations. And I've been here at New Paltz for almost 7 years. came from NYU, the School of Engineering, where I was interim VP for development, and love it. I live in Kingston also. Hi, Rennie. And I'm married to a sculptor and have 2 cats. That's about it.
Okay, and you're one of my hometowners also, you're a Kingston person.
Exactly.
And so the Provost Lyman, I know you're back.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you. So I am just about, chronologically, about to finish my first year at New Paltz, serving as interim provost and vice president for academic affairs. I served before coming most recently in Pennsylvania at an institution that is a master's public comprehensive, like New Paltz. And so I served for 11 years as provost and executive vice president at Shippensburg University in Pennsylvania. Before that, taught at and served at a number of institutions, again, master's public comprehensive institutions. And so I'm happy to bring that experience with me to serve here at New Paltz.
Thank you. Skip over you. We had our opportunity to meet you. And Ron, say a few words.
Am I mute or hello?
Yes, you've been the longest affiliate of the university.
Okay. I've been on the college council now for a while, about 7 years, I think. I also was a member of the foundation. I'm a graduate of the college in 1974 and have been involved with the college ever since, particularly with the engineering school, and just glad to be a member of the board.
Thanks, Ron. And I know we're going to hear from Michelle Halstead later, but won't get the budget. But I know Michelle's there somewhere. Michelle.
I'm here. Hi, I'm Michelle Halstead, Vice President for Administration and Finance. I've been with SUNY New Paltz for 30 years, Vice President for 7. I'm a product of SUNY education with degrees from New Albany and from New Paltz, and I'm a hometown girl.
That means New Paltz, right?
Yep.
Good for you. And let's see, Rennie, now the people are popping all around here. So let's see, Stephanie's on my screen next. How you doing, Steph?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Blazel, Vice President for Student Affairs. I'm in my 4th year at New Paltz.
4th year?
Time flies, right? Yeah, I feel like a senior. So I oversee a number of the functions and services that are outside of the classroom, not including dining and parking, thankfully.
Good. Okay, thanks. And Vince, one of our members, voting members.
Okay, you can hear me now, right? Okay.
Okay.
Been on the council for a long time also. I'm not sure how many years. Shelley will have to tell me. I'm not sure. Enjoy it. It's been great experience. Meet a lot of nice people. I love my I love our colleagues that are on this thing. It's all good. I'm a graduate of SUNY New Paltz a couple of times, once in physics and once in electrical engineering.
Great. Thanks, Vince. And Bev Quick next. I can't see you, Bev, but you're very prominent.
It's okay. Bev's an observer. She's not an official member. We have a couple of observers on the call.
Okay, because I just see the phone and the icon. So Eleanor, can you hear me, Eleanor? Not cannibals. Eleanor?
You hear me?
Now I can.
Oh, good.
Good afternoon.
Well, the reason I had it unmute, in order for you to hear me, I had to click mute, which is really not very logical. So okay. Now I'm unmuted on mute, whatever that is. I can't put my picture there because my husband's not here to fix the machine. I'm not very good at this, but at least I'm on and I see all of you and I hear all of you. I've been a council member 24 years. I enjoy being part of the group, and I'm very interested in what goes on at the college. So long live education.
And you represent your very, very, very home village too.
I've been here 50 years.
Now I have John, I don't know John Oles. Just what? Is John an observer? Okay. Julie Walsh, Matt Skillman.
Yep. I think you just forgot me.
Oh, Shelley, you're in between.
Yeah.
Okay, you're dead center. So, you know, because I cover Rennie. Okay, sorry. Hey, Shelley, so you're the one who runs everything, right?
No, I'm the chief of staff and vice president for communication.
Okay.
Haley knows me. Rennie knows me.
Is there anything you don't do?
No comment.
It's an exciting job you have, isn't it?
Yes, never a dull moment.
Thank you.
Always something new and exciting.
Can I have, let's see, I'm trying squares. So,
well, most of these are members who are have a work function to observe or something. So I think they're just observers.
So great. So the next thing I have is going to be ask for an approval of the minutes. And has everybody read and reviewed the May 20th minutes? Is there any additions, deletions, corrections?
I propose that the minutes be approved.
I second.
All in favor, just raise your hand or scream.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Minutes approved. Now, for my report, I have very little report other than that I read our local paper, and New Paltz hasn't been featured very much, as usual, because they generally don't report anything that's positive. So I'm very happy to observe that things are going well, at least from my perspective at New Paltz, and the new year has started, and we're out of the news, unlike Oneonta and some other universities, in terms of how things are being coped with. It appears that things are being coped with very well, considering the environment that we're under, and that's because of the efforts of the faculty, staff, students, and most importantly, our president, Don Christian. And Don, could you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It's hard to believe that it's been a month since I gave my State of the College address, and so I'll comment here about the current state of SUNY New Paltz. If you read that address in my report earlier this month, you have a sense that our most immediate and overarching focus has been on managing a successful fall semester and keeping everyone healthy and safe. At the same time, we're planning for spring semester and for the next year. I see that we have an agenda, separate agenda item below on a COVID-19 update, but I'm going to include some observations about COVID-19 in my report, and then we can see if there are other items that my colleagues may want to add. We're really proud and impressed with the behavior of our students and their adherence to safety protocols of mask wearing, social distancing, hand washing, avoiding large gatherings. We ask students to sign a pledge to honor these principles as a condition of being present on campus. And we've made clear that even though we've emphasized educational approaches to influencing behavior, we're ready to suspend students for non-compliance with behavioral expectations if we have to. And fortunately, we've had relatively few violations of those rules that have resulted in disciplinary action. Some of the notable features of our fall semester are that about 75% of our classes are remote and distant, 25% are on campus, and the latter are all at reduced in-class density with clear requirements for mask wearing. Our occupancy in the residence halls is less than half what it is other fall semesters, and we have strict guidelines in the residence halls on gatherings, bans on visitations in other residence halls. Many of our employees continue to telecommute, and that seems to be working well. We have in place plans to pivot to an all-remote instruction if the number of cases rises beyond our capacity to maintain health and safety or beyond the limits that the governor has established. We instituted new COVID-19 surveillance testing of students living in the residence halls so that we can track the potential spread of the virus on campus. We've recently added pool testing of students, and today we began pool testing of employees as part of that surveillance. And I might comment briefly that in this pool testing protocol, saliva from 12 people is combined into a sample that's tested. And if the result is negative, everyone in the pool is negative. But if there's a positive pool test, then the individual samples can be tested right away to identify individuals or individuals who are positive, and that will let us isolate them right away to reduce the spread. As of today, and I want to knock on wood when I give this report, we have 2 active student cases. We have 8 students in quarantine, and we have no students in isolation. And as of today, we've tested about 1,300 students on campus, and we have a positivity rate of 0.8%, which is admirable compared to what we're seeing on some other campuses. Student affairs and other volunteers have been on what we call party patrol in New Paltz, both on campus and off campus. And they're speaking with students about health and safety and distributing masks and hand sanitizers as warranted. And they found mostly small, appropriate gatherings and report that our students could not have been more polite and gracious. And so, again, Eli mentioned the role that all of us have played in our success to date, and I want to be sure that we recognize the great role that our students have had in that success. I might also note that we have a great partnership with the village and the town in a series of joint initiatives, some education campaigns, cooperative enforcement measures, and that's also playing a really important part in our success. Our overall enrollment this fall is within 5% of what it was a year ago, and that's a great relief because we had feared a much more dramatic drop as a consequence of several factors. One is the significant shift to remote instruction. We know that students and families have concerns about health and safety in an on-campus environment. And we also know that the pandemic has had significant impacts on family finances of many of our students. So we're relieved that we're within 5% of where we were last year. I might note here that the percentage of underrepresented students in our incoming first-year class this fall is 46%, and that's down only slightly from last fall's record high 48%. And that is in contrast to national concerns that Black and Latinx students would disproportionately not continue their education. I might mention here also, I think everyone is familiar with our EOP program, very successful, and our EOP enrollment is within 1 student of what it was last fall, and we're grateful for that. I'll say a few things about budget to maybe set the stage a bit for context for what Vice President Halstead will report. We're heartened by that fall enrollment that I just noted, but even that modest decrease will carry a loss of about $1.2 million in tuition revenue. And I think it's worth a reminder to the council that almost 80% of our operating revenue comes from tuition and fees, so we're very heavily enrollment dependent. That's why we're working already on recruiting students for this coming spring as well as for the next academic year. Our residence hall budget is taking a severe hit this fall because of reduced occupancy, and that's on top of a major loss of revenue last spring when we refunded housing fees after we went to totally remote instruction and students moved off campus mid-semester. I think everyone's aware that New York State faces a serious budget shortfall this year, and the economic recovery will be slow, and it's pretty clear that tax revenues will continue to lag. And as a result of that, it's almost certain that SUNY's direct taxpayer support will be cut significantly this year. Those losses and uncertainties led SUNY to institute a hiring freeze and severe spending limits, and we've been reinforcing those to reduce our expenditures with substantial impact so far. State officials have made clear that budget figures for SUNY and for other state entities won't be released until after the November election, so we're dealing with continuing ambiguity in our budget situation. At the same time, we've tried to help members of our community understand the difficult budget decisions that we'll face as the year unfolds. One of our major priorities this year is to advance our efforts to become an anti-racist campus. And that aligns with the belated recognition of all that our nation and all of its institutions in colleges and universities must do to right longstanding racial inequities, injustices, and violence. And we undertake that work recognizing both the urgency to make progress, but also the complexities that mean this is not an overnight task. You may have read the news and seen our message to the campus community condemning the ugly verbal harassment that one of our students of color experienced in the village earlier this week, and of efforts underway by the New Paltz police to identify those responsible for those actions. Incidents like that underscore our need as a campus and as a broader community to address these issues very aggressively. We held several virtual listening sessions this summer with students, alumni, employees, college council members. I think you may have read our June 30 message about our commitments and actions underway in a more recent response to those conversations and to some demands of an alumni petition. Among the steps that we're taking are ways to create a better pathway to respond to incidents of bias and to support students and employees who have those kind of experiences. We've asked the faculty to review the curriculum to better highlight offerings about race, racism, and inequity in America. We're changing the structure of our diversity and inclusion work so that we can expand the involvement of community members. Our university police department has affirmed its commitment to anti-racism in a statement that outlines their dedication to fair and equitable policing. I might take a moment here to note that our UPD is only half of SUNY UPDs that are accredited through the New York State Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, and only about 1/4 of non-SUNY law enforcement agencies in the state are accredited. And that's a rigorous process that requires meeting many standards. So those are just some of the efforts that we have underway to address those anti-racist goals. A couple other highlights for the year that I'll showcase, so as you'll be hearing more about these. One is that I think the College Council is aware that we've undertaken a first ever major fundraising campaign, and we have a $23 million goal for that campaign, and we're now at about 98% of that goal. Very excited about that success that Vice President Marks has led. We're also in the middle this year of our Middle States reaccreditation review, something we do every 10 years, and that seems to be progressing well as well. I will, in my final comments here, I'll highlight our new leader for the SUNY system. Dr. Jim Malatras was appointed recently as the new SUNY chancellor. He's replacing Christina Johnson, who resigned to become president at the Ohio State University. Chancellor Malatras most recently has been president at SUNY Empire State, but he served previously as chief of staff to former Chancellor Nancy Zimpher, director of the Rockefeller Institute of Government at the University at Albany, and he's held various positions in New York State government, including director of state operations under Governor Cuomo. The chancellor chose New Paltz as the first campus to visit in his new role. He came to visit us on Sunday, August 23. He was really interested in our fall semester reopening plans and our COVID-19 protections. Very interested in the key role that our Hudson Valley Additive Manufacturing Center has been playing in producing face shields and other PPE for healthcare workers, first responders, and for the campus. I was really impressed with his easy engagement with students that we met during the tour. I think the council may like hearing that in his comments to a reporter, he described SUNY New Paltz as one of, and this is a quote, the crown jewels in SUNY. He's clearly a hands-on leader, great to work with, very engaged. I shared a message with him yesterday about the racial harassment that our student experienced, and got a call from him within about 20 minutes to offer his support and in engagement with that issue. So those are a few things going on at the college, and with that report, I will stop and see if any of the council members have questions or comments that I can respond to.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? Kudos for keeping the institution open and healthy. To say the least, it looks like New Paltz is an absolute model for dealing with COVID and succeeding in doing so. And it's not surprising that the chancellor would look to New Paltz as a crown jewel, because it has been done successfully to keep the doors open, first of all, and to succeed doing it with such a low infinitesimal rate of COVID. I don't know whether it was the pledge or whether it was all the other that have been instituted, but they were absolutely well thought, effectively instituted, because it's almost hard to believe how well things have gone. And you should really take some pride in that. And it's not half over, but it's, you know, it's certainly off to a really good start. And it's, to me, when I read news about other campuses throughout the country where COVID is rampant and New Paltz is taking the actions to provide a quality education, a welcoming environment to students who desperately need it, and to do so with a very diverse student body where the COVID has concentrated and been inordinate, yet they can come to New Paltz and feel and be safe and be educated. It's really a testament to really good management and good participation by the faculty and by the students themselves, acting responsibly in doing what is necessary to get through a really hard time and succeed at it. So I want to give you my personal thanks, and I'm sure the council members all share pride and to be really thankful for what you've done. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Eli. You know, I'll weigh in here very quickly that this has been truly a team effort. All of the members of the cabinet that are joining us here today have been integrally involved in this. The deans have been involved and supportive. Residents, life staff, student affairs staff, the faculty, as you mentioned, certainly our environmental health and safety officials, facilities. It just goes on and on. It's an across the board effort, and I think that's part of the success. So thank you for that, those kind words.
Don, apropos of way I began, if it was a negative experience that was on campus, would have gotten headlines. And it's ironic that the way things are going, that you would have to bring it to us because it hasn't been public. I would still say it's probably early on. Thank you. Was that Eleanor?
Let's all knock on wood when you say that.
Don, I would echo what Eli has said, and I would say that you and the administration and students and faculty and staff have all demonstrated that it is possible to navigate safely through this whole COVID pandemic and that the institution and learning can still continue and people can continue to stay healthy. And I would say congratulations to all of you and continued success.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
I just want to say something. I'm really proud of what we have collectively accomplished, but I'm going to knock on wood.
Exactly. Yeah, I get that. I was just wondering, are the pools formed through classrooms or residency? How did they come up with putting the 12 people together for the pool testing?
Vice President Blazel has been leading our testing and tracing group, and I'll have her.
Steph?
Because of the mechanics that are involved, the way that the pools are formed are whoever is in line, those 12 people who are in line. But we're mandating which group of students is in line based on a random sort of sample. So we're starting with heavy commuter students because they weren't in our PCR testing rotation yet. But it's making sure that we have a representative group across campus each week that we test.
Some type of template that's used SUNY-wide, or is it New Paltz's invention?
So the pool testing itself is run out of Upstate. There's no template in terms of, how to randomly assign or, we had to submit our testing plans to SUNY and they approved it. There's no manual on how to do this. So we're all just sort of sharing lots of best practices, mostly within the SUNY groups. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? Let's see. I have new business. COVID, I guess. Is there anything left to be added to the COVID situation? Because that's next on my agenda.
Eli, did we approve the minutes so quickly that I missed it?
You missed it.
I missed it. Okay.
So was there anything? Okay. Anything else on COVID?
Michelle, anything on PPE to offer, or Stephanie, anything else on testing that I have missed?
No, one of the saving graces I think that we had with PPE is we have a very active emergency manager on campus, Scott Schulte, and together with his team, they were able to secure 50,000 masks for free. And that went a long way to serving our campus. We were able to distribute to all faculty, staff, and students. And, everybody's collectively been working really hard to secure all facets of protective equipment.
Great.
This may be a little bit premature, but is it possible to kind of create a case study of how you outlined and got participation and got the pool and everything else to work in such a way that maybe it can become a case study for other institutions?
I mean, I think we'd be happy to do that. I think one of the frustrations from many institutions is our resources. So we were really fortunate. SUNY took a leadership role in this, got the pool testing along with other kinds of testing underway. So we benefited from SUNY, spearheading those resources in partnership with the state. We were really lucky too, in that we had partnered early on with a lab that could be on campus weekly to do PCR testing on campus. A lot of campuses didn't have that. So I credit a lot of our success to our director of health. Really, I think he got his chops from our mumps epidemic a few years back, and so he and Scott Schulte from emergency management were both just able to hit the ground running. But I mean, certainly we can put together our story. I mean, like David, I'm sort of, I'm still holding my breath because some of this is luck. So there's no perfect recipe, but we can sure share with others, what we feel went right.
I would agree that that there's a certain amount of luck, but there's also, you got a lot of buy-in from a lot of different quarters. And that's something that I think should be documented, even if not so for other institutions, maybe for anybody else who comes along if something like this should ever happen. And I think it'd be a wasted opportunity not to at least document what you've done.
That's a good thought. You know, one piece that we believe is a factor is that so many of our students come from the Hudson Valley, Long Island, New York City, parts of the state that were hit hard in the spring by the initial phases of the pandemic. And so our students here this fall, many having had direct experience with family and friend impacts on COVID, and took it pretty seriously. And we've seen the assessments in some other parts of the country where students come back to a campus not having lived through the kind of experiences that we have in this part of New York last spring and early summer, and we're perhaps more casual about what they face.
Well, that also shows a certain amount of maturity on the students who are coming to the college also.
You bet.
Yes, certainly. And I'm sure the underrepresented students come from neighborhoods that were pillaged in New York City probably spoke seriously and took things seriously. And we've been fortunate in the Hudson Valley also with the leadership of Governor Cuomo to take the virus really, really serious. And I think the pledge probably had a gut check to the people coming back on campus, that it's meant to be something that they were to follow if they wanted to enjoy student life on campus and to come to campus. So you should be applauded for the leadership. I'm sure it's going to be a difficult fall. I don't think anybody can take it possibly for granted for another at least 6 months that we're going to be under this cloud. But you're off to a great start, and it seems to be a really good formula that you've. And so with that, I'm going to ask, let's see, Michelle about the budget. I know things are going really well. So Vice President Halstead?
All right, I'm going to attempt to share my screen. Should be coming up any second now, I hope. No, maybe not. Where did it go?
Can everyone else who's not talking mute their phones? Because we're getting some background noise.
Okay, are you all seeing what I'm seeing? And
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay, so this report you're all familiar with. This is the wrap up of last year. So I'll go through this pretty quickly because it's in the past and we need to focus a little bit more attention on the uncertainties of the future. So last year, I think when I shared with you the last time, either March or April, we knew that we had not achieved our tuition target. We missed that target by almost $2.5 million. But what we didn't know at that time was how much state support we were going to get for the fiscal year 1920. The result was that we received $2 million less than anticipated in state support. That $2 million represents about a 13% reduction in state support. So overall, our revenue, our anticipated revenue from the beginning of the year to the actual was short by $4.5 million. Now transfer to the good news. The good news was we knew that we were holding positions vacant for at least 90 days before COVID hit. So we knew we were going to achieve a certain amount of savings from personnel dollars. After COVID hit, as President Christian mentioned, the university came out with a hiring freeze for us, and we were only allowed to replace positions that were health and safety or revenue generating. So we have a further reduction in personnel costs, and we saved $2.3 million from what we anticipated at the beginning of the year. In addition, we saved on some temporary service. We usually overspend that every year. We held fast with that. And on the utility side, since most of us were home for the latter part of the spring semester, we were able to ratchet down the utilities in the various buildings across campus and collectively saved more than $250,000 in utilities. And in addition, as again, President Christian mentioned, there was a spending freeze. Only essential spending for health and safety and things that are critical to the mission were able to be spent from our supplies, contracts, and other services. There was no travel. There still is no travel. And so we saved nearly $500,000 there. So collectively, undershot our anticipated expenditures by $3.1 million. When you compare the expenditures to the revenue, the result was a use of reserve in the amount of about $4.4 million from state support. So that in and of itself, that's our biggest fund, as you know, and what we don't usually talk about at the council are all the other funds that we manage, in particular the residence hall funds. So as President Christian mentioned before, we saw a number of refunds go out for our students. About half of the semester's worth of room rent was refunded to our students that lived on campus. The amount of which is almost $7 million. And in addition, we did refund some of our fees, in particular the athletics and parking. Those fees are obviously much less than the room rent. So even though this screen shows a $4.4 million reduction in reserves, the other resulting refunds reduced reserves even further. Now, I usually at this point in the year will compare last year to this year, budget to budget, but really we aren't able to do that at this point because there are so many unknowns still out there. The biggest of which is what will be our state support, and knock wood, will we make it through the semester without having to shut down due to the COVID pandemic? So I didn't put together a comparison because it's just a little too, there are too many unknowns to give you any competent numbers. But what I did do yesterday was one of my staff ran a comparison of year-to-date expenditures from July 1st of this year to today, or to yesterday, and compared them to July 1st, 2019 to September 23rd, 2019, just to see how we were doing. And the news was pretty positive. The spending restrictions that we have resulted in a reduction of more than 25% in both our temp service expenditures, or temporary personnel, and our, we call them OTPS, but the supplies, travel, contracts, and utilities are included in that. And then in the personnel side, from this time last year, we're under a 10% reduction in spending. So that's our biggest challenge is managing those personnel costs, because they attribute to a big chunk of our necessary expenditures on campus. So that's pretty much all I can give you in a solid financial report at this point. We won't know, we've been told that we won't know state support numbers until after the elections in November, and how soon after the elections depends on how the election goes.
Well, thank you. I know there's a lot of questions, but most of them are unanswerable, and they have to do with the future and how things are going to go. But managing reality, you've done a terrific job. And I know it's not easy. It's easy when you have a lot of money. It's really hard when you don't have enough. And so I know you have to make good decisions and priorities. You're doing very well considering all the circumstances, but I know there's some major unknowns, and most of them driven by the virus and secondarily by the elections and where the state is at. I get that. And I know hopefully New Paltz being a crown jewel, maybe we'll get a little bit extra, a little preferential, but I know it remains to be seen. But thank you for your hard work. I know it's not fun. Anybody have any questions for Michelle?
Yes. Well, actually, it's a revenue question, but it's not so much directed at state funding and tuition. But I'm just wondering, has there been an impact to giving to the campus from other sources as a result of COVID?
Vice President Marks?
Yeah. Well, Ron, we lowered our goal this year from 3 million to 2 million for the first time in 6 years, where each of the last 6 years we surpassed $3 million. And as President Christian said, we're actually right now just about $500,000 away from our $23 million campaign goal. And I'll say this, yes, I think there's been a slowdown in giving, but people who have the means really truly have enormous means. And so we are seeing some extremely generous gifts. I've been surprised. We've had several six-figure gifts that have come in. And I think I'm observing that people are thinking about the value of what they have and the value of their New Paltz education and the value of the college and the value of public higher education. And they're really thinking about what's important in their lives. And so people who can make a contribution we're seeing an increase in planned gifts, people who have said that they're leaving us in their will and estate plans. So people have gotten very serious about future planning. So yes, in the short run, I'm seeing a bit of a lag and in the smaller donations, because a lot of people are out of work or broke. But again, those who have resources, there is quite a lot of money out there, as we know, at certain levels of our society, and some of that is flowing to us. So I hope to surpass our lowered goal this year, but I wanted to be a bit conservative.
Thanks.
Notwithstanding the impact on people regarding employment, but those who are employed and working aren't, unfortunately, for restaurants, et cetera, are not buying clothes. They're not going to restaurants. So, I know I can look around and see how many people have gone out to dinner week after week, which is almost nobody. And so maybe that is an opportunity, Erica, but I guess you've thought of that on your own. But that's what I've seen, is that people,
we're doing what we can. One of the hard things is what we call engagement. So it's everything is a little bit more complicated. You can't get a group of 20 people together and walk around and talk to people and make connections. Everything that you do is more laborious, has to be very thoughtful. But when we're able to do that, people are grateful and excited. And of course, we're continuing to do mailings and online outreach. So we haven't slowed down in our activity at all.
And I think that if things continue successfully with the college and dealing with COVID, it can only stand as a foundation for people to give. Because I know when people make requests when things are going badly, it's dire. But by the same token, when things are going well, people do like to get some of that stardust. And
I agree. And success breeds success. And our messaging, I have had several people, and I really thank Vice President Wright, have mentioned to me, I mean, literally 3-4 people now, how impressed they are with our communications, how much they appreciate it. These are alumni. I didn't even know they were reading our communications, but apparently they are. And I think that helps quite a lot.
So I know it's hard work, but it's worth it, Erica. So thank you. And anything else? We have the next meeting scheduled for October 21st at 3 p.m. It'll be here before we know it. And between now and then, I wish you all good health, live safe, and continued success. So thank you very much for coming. I know it's
Thanks, Eli.
only
Thanks,
by
everyone.
video. Yes, Rennie. Oh, that's a bye-bye, or you want to speak? All I know is when somebody waves their hand, you hit the button.
Eli?
Yes,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
great. Second? Everybody being in favor? Meeting's
Aye.
adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
All right.
See you soon.